Hi, you are welcome. In this video, we'll be talking about the uterus, the ovaries, and the uterine wall. Now, uterus. The uterus is actually a pear-shaped and thick muscular organ which averages about 7 to 8 centimeter in length and 5 to 7 centimeter in width and 2 to 3 centimeter in thickness. It is pear-shaped. Okay, pear-shaped. It is muscular and it is thick-walled, meaning that it has a thick wall. The wall of the uterus is thick, and the wall of the uterus is made up of two parts, which are the body, which is at the superior two-third, and the cervix, which is at the inferior portion, inferior 1/3. Now the body continues from the fundus. The fundus is actually a rounded part. The rounded part of the uterus. The rounded part of the uterus. The body of uterus continues from fundus down to the isthmus. The isthmus is actually the border that separates the body of the uterus from the cervix. That's the lower part. Now the cervix has two openings from both ends. That is internal uterus OS and external uterus OS. Why this part makes contact with the uterine cavity? Internal uterus OS makes contact with uterine cavity. The external uterus OS makes contact with the vagina. It communicates with the vagina, while internal uterus OS makes contact or communicates with uterine cavity. That's the relationship. Now let's talk about the layers of the uterus. I hope you do understand my analogy here, the explanation I made here. If you do not understand it, you can comment, tell me you don't understand it. I will explain further using the comment section. Okay, let's talk about the layers of the uterus. There are 3 layers of the uterus. Number 1, the pericardium, perimetrium, myometrium, and finally the endometrium. Now this is thin shaped. It is thin. This is thick. This is thin. This is located inner. This is located outer. This is located inner. This is located inner. The perimetrium is the outermost part of the uterus, the outermost layer. Now, this part is made up of smooth muscles. This is the part that involves in the contractile effect of the uterus. The uterus is actually a muscular organ like the bladder. So it has some smooth muscles. The smooth muscles are contributed by myometrium. So the endometrium is the innermost part of the uterus, and microscopically there are three layers of the endometrium, three notable layers, which are the spongy layer, the second compact layer, and lastly the basal layer. Now these two layers are collectively called functional layer. Now these two parts are actually sloughed off. Sloughed off during maturation, and menstruation. These two first parts, the functional layer of the endometrium, gets sloughed off during parturition and menstruation. Right, 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 right. That is that about the uterus, and now let's consider the uterine tube. Uterine tube. Now the uterine tube is actually a long tubule in the body that averages 10 centimeter long and 1 centimeter thickness. 1 centimeter thickness, and for descriptive sake, it has 4 parts, which are the infundibulum, the ampulla, the isthmus, and finally the uterine part. Now this part is just like a funnel-like structure that receives the egg after ovulation or during ovulation. It receives the egg. Now this part, ampulla, is actually the part of the uterine tube that houses the site for fertilization. So in most cases, fertilization occurs in the ampulla of uterine tube. So the isthmus, if the egg was fertilized, if it is fertilized, it dwells here for some time while receiving some nourishment from the uterine part of the uterine tube. Okay, fine. If you have any question concerning this, you can drop it on the comment section while I attend to them one after the other. Now let me make a sketch, a rough sketch. Alright, don't mind my diagram. This is the fundus, this is the fibula, this is the infundibulum, what is this? Is uterine cavity, this is ovary, this is ampulla, okay, this is uterine part, this is isthmus. Okay, now looking at it, you see from down here, ranging from here down to this place is actually the body of the uterus. Then downwards is the cervix, which continues, and this is the vagina. It continues to communicate with the vagina through the external uterus OS. So this is the rough diagram of what I'll be trying to explain. Now let's go down to ovary. The ovary, we'll be talking about the ovarian cycle. And the ovary is actually the female gonad. It's actually the female gonad that produces oocyte, matured oocyte from oogonia. Now, their ovarian cycle the ovary influences ovarian cycle. This is actually the follicular stage where the egg is being produced from primary oocyte down to the mature eggs. So the ovarian cycle is characterized by 4 major processes. That is, one of them being growth and development of primary oocyte. Number 2, follicular development. Number 3, proliferation of follicles. Number 4 is this is actually the same with this, so there's no need repeating it. Proliferation of follicles, that's the increment of follicles. So take the second one as development of zona pellucida, and the final one as development of theca folliculi. These are the 4 distinguishing characteristics that occurs during ovarian cycle. This is actually the development of the primary oocyte from oogonia. The oogonia is actually a totipotent cell, or you call it the progenitor of this primary oocyte. It is cells that are capable of differentiating or giving rise to other cells. So primary oocyte is formed from oogonia. getting down to the proliferation of follicles, this is where the follicles increases. The follicle of the cell increases. The follicular cells multiplies. They proliferates. At the proliferation, they give rise to zona pellucida, and also corona radiata. Now, the sperm cell does not just get to the egg after ejaculation. It has to come back with two things. First, corona radiata, that is the acrosome, the enzyme secreted from the acrosome of the sperm. We have to open up this guy so that the sperm cell can penetrate the zona pellucida. These are glycoproteins. When it opens them up, then the sperm can now gain access into the egg for real fertilization to occur. Now, these are the stages where this happens. This theca follicle is responsible for the production of angiogenesis. And angiogenesis is responsible for the production of blood vessels or blood supply to the whole process. And when the theca follicule and the ovarian follicle, when they disintegrate, they give rise to corpus luteum. Now, if pregnancy occurs, let's say fertilization occurs, this corpus luteum is called corpus luteum of pregnancy. It does not degenerate, because corpus luteum, if fertilization does not occur, what happens is that it will degenerate and leave the body. It degenerates. But if fertilization does not occur, it is called corpus luteum of menstruation. Corpus luteum of menstruation. And that will lead us to the menstrual cycle. I don't know if you understand it. If you do not understand it, it is fine. Just ask me a question using the comment section. Now, menstrual phases. Well, I want to give a kudos to girls, females that experience this. I don't know how it feels. I'm a guy, but you know how it feels, okay? Menstrual phase. There are three. Yeah, these are the phases of menstruation. The menstrual phase, the proliferative phase, the luteal phase, and finally the ischia phase. This is actually the phase where the blood is being expelled out of the body through the vagina. It is obvious that ovulation has occurred, egg has been released by the ovary down to the fallopian tube, to the infundibulum, but there was no sperm to fertilize the egg, and because of that, the egg travels into the uterus where it is absorbed by the cells in the endometrium and therefore expelled out of the body through the vagina. Now, the proliferative phase is actually the phase whereby the slough up parts, layers of the endometrium. There are two functional parts of the endometrium, which is the spongy layer and the compact layer. There are actually three layers, which is basal layer. Basal layer is actually the blind end of the endometrium, the blind end containing the cells of the endometrium, the regenerative um, cells of endometrium. But these two guys here are the functional part of the endometrium. They got sloughed off, they got removed during menstruation. Now, after menstruation occurs, when menstruation is over, this lasts for about 3 to 5 days. When it happens, these two guys are regenerated again under this phase, and this happens within 9 days. Fine. Now, the luteal phase is actually the secretory phase. Secretory phase, and at this phase, the body is already prepared. It's so much prepared, waiting for the egg to be fertilized. There are a lot of works going on in the body. The level of progesterone and estrogen released by both the ovary and corpus luteum. The corpus luteum releases these two hormones as well. These two hormones are responsible for the maintenance of pregnancy, just as luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone is responsible for menstruation, ovarian cycle, and all of that. This hormone here, luteinizing hormone, is responsible for ovulation. It causes the surge of ovulation. It increases it. When, okay, I'm coming to this. Let me finish up this. Now, if fertilization does not occur, these steps enters the ischia phase and menstruation occurs. Menstruation occurs. Okay, fine. Let's talk about these two hormones, these two important hormones, luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Now, the hypothalamus is involved, is a part of the brain involved in ovulation. Okay? In ovulation. Now, the neurosecretory cells of this guy produces gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay? Now, this guy is transported by hypophyseal portal system. These are actually hypophyseal portal system are actually capillary network. Capillary network. Now they transport this guy to the anterior lobe. Anterior lobe of pituitary gland. And that stimulates the pituitary gland to give rise to two very important hormones. That is luteinizing luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Now, this first hormone is responsible for ovulation. During ovulation, this hormone is appreciably high. Now, during follicular development or proliferation of follicles, which you can find in the ovarian cycle, you will see this hormone at work. The surge is very high. Now, we're stopping here of this video, but I do hope you gained something meaningful out of this video. Till I meet you next, love you.